talking about one Guyana. When the Ministry of Culture keep the big shows, one set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. They hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clout. When you come into me for I shake your hand, there's nothing to smile about. Corruption inside every sector, but when it comes to them they send you. Try investigate efficiency, right? Go talk to Baratans too, cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. I done fed up of the dirty water, low pressure, want scream and tell somebody. Imagine 1500 US and they're telling me super salary. I done fed up of the unemployment racism and the lie they say one Guyana. Cause when you look where the oil money going, circulate with one set of banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up.
Good evening, everyone. A pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you all are keeping well. Please go ahead, share the link. This is no time for us to be letting up. Guyana is truly at a crossroads, ladies and gentlemen. We are at a crossroads here in Guyana for sure. All right, please do share the link. Welcome in to those on the ground in Guyana, the broader Caribbean, North America, the United Kingdom, South Africa, the continent of Africa. Welcome to tonight's broadcast, everyone. Welcome. We have so much to discuss this evening. Right, so much to discuss this evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome all of you, just giving you time to come in, giving everyone an opportunity to join and share the link. Please share the link. All right, share the link. Tonight's focus, we have to own in on the PPP government. And I want to apologize to each and every one of you for not being on last Sunday. My deep apologies. I know there was the Independence Day parade last Sunday. Excellent parade. I'm going to take a quick high-level review of the parade quickly, 2 minutes or so. We're not going to spend too long on that. All right. But I welcome each and every one of you this evening. Please continue to share the link, like the broadcast. Again, this is Over to You, a program for the people, by the people, right here on Bench Up Radio 107.1 FM. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll do the typical normal duties of doing the roll call. And let's start off with Marcus Paul in Canarsie, Brooklyn. Marcus, welcome to tonight's broadcast. The freedom fighter, Miss Sandra Hanover, is in the house. A pleasant good evening to you, Miss Hanover. Miss Darkus John is here. A pleasant good evening to you, Miss John. The Honorable Comrade Victor Ben, our fourth Canadian in the house. A pleasant good evening to you, Mr. Ben. Miss Floretta Hamilton is here. Good evening to you, Miss Hamilton. Claire Capel is in the house. Good evening, Miss Capel. Welcome to tonight's broadcast of Over to You. Sandra Sargent is here. A pleasant good evening to you, Miss Sargent. Hope that you're keeping well and all is well. Miss Mary Figueroa, our second Canadian, is in the house. Great to see you this evening. Hope that you're doing very, very well. Miss Rosemary Martindale Brackett is in the house. What a name. It's good to see you, Miss Martindale Brackett. And yes, Brooklyn is in the house. What is better than Brooklyn? Brooklyn is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Desiree Smart Felix by way of New Amsterdam, another Canadian in the house. Good evening to you. Miss Susan London is here. A pleasant good evening, Miss London. Mayborn King is here. Good evening to you. Steve Dunlap, a pleasant good evening to you. The Honorable Mr. Neville Sital, also known as Civic, is here this evening. Good evening, Civic. Miss Hazel Johnson is here, and you know when she's here, she brings pace and power. A pleasant good evening to you, Miss Johnson. Shondell C. Canterbury, what a name, is in the house. Good evening, Shondell. Welcome to Over to You. Lydia Pick is in the house. Hey, Lydia, you ain't going to be picking no story tonight, but welcome to the broadcast here. All right, good to see you. Miss Desiree Simons is here. Pleasant good evening to you, Miss Simons. Welcome to tonight's broadcast. All right. Eva is here. Good evening, Eva. Welcome. Miss Erwil Dawn Cook is here. Good evening, Miss Cook. Welcome to tonight's broadcast. Jennifer Albert is here. Good evening. Welcome. Yvonne Meredith is in the house. Good evening to you, Yvonne Meredith. Comrade Keith Beresford. Keith Beresford is a very good friend of mine. I'm gonna talk a little bit on I give Keith Beresford a high level look later on in the program, time providing. Althea Wade is here. Good evening. Good evening. Joy Phillips is here. Claudette Allen is here. Good evening. Patricia Asana is in the house. Good to see you. Clifton Colley. Big up my brother. Yes, my childhood friend is in the house. Good to see you, Mr. Colley. Patricia Kesoon, good evening. Thomasino Ben is here. Good evening, everyone. Lorraine Nicholas is here. Yvette Madu is here. Yvette P. Madu is in the house. Good evening, Miss Maxine Monroe is here. How can I miss your name? Notley Harry is here. Good evening to you. And Miss Yvonne Rodriguez Barbados is in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good evening to each and every one of you. Lots to discuss, Lots to discuss. The young 7-year-old, was laid to rest today. I was just peeking in on and off at the funeral procession, and I would have saw that Dr. Campbell was there. Comrade Simona Brooms was there. Honorable Member of Parliament Saiku Andrews was there, and I thought I would have saw Honorable Member of Parliament Nima Flu Bess there. And it is good that the APNU would have showed their support and stood in solidarity with that family. They would have done a very, very, very professional job dealing with that situation. It was well done. They weren't looking for likes and review. They went in and they dealt with the issue. Okay? They dealt with the issue. They did a fantastic job dealing with the issue and not trying to, get in at the same time, not giving the issue a political approach, and the family did say that, right? That's a good thing. That is a very, very good thing, because a lot of times when politicians or a party get involved in situations such as this, which is a murder, it's a homicide, all right? They usually try to put a political spin on the situation. But I have to, ladies and gentlemen, I have to commend the APNU. That was work well done. Okay, well done. I give you guys the full 10 points. Again, our sympathies are with the family. We're going to continue to keep you in our prayers. All right, that was a young human being that had a full life ahead of him. Okay, and should have been allowed the latitude of life. But today, he gets to lay there, cold body, by himself. All right? And we are saddened. We are truly saddened. We have seen a lot of this in Guyana over the past few years. Right? We don't forget Adriana Young. We don't forget Soraya Bourne, and so many others. All right, very young people. We're talking about everyone under the age of 12 here. right? It's a crying shame, ladies and gentlemen. It's a crying shame. But that's the reason that we are here. Because we all want to see Guyana in a better space. All right? We all want to see Guyana in a better space. Now, when we talk about former presidents, let's go there a little bit. All right? They want to do an amendment, for the benefits of former presidents. Now, ladies and gentlemen, and this amendment is not and you guys know this is typical with Guyana. When you're doing an amendment, it's never to decrease anything. It is always to increase something. I'm going to look at this quickly high level because, as you guys know, we typically have an hour here, an hour 10 minutes, an hour 15 minutes. So we got to look at things high level. All right. We are talking about the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. And yes, of course, by economic standards, some of which I don't agree with, it's the fastest growing economy in the world, quote unquote. All right. But of course, we see that that's not bleeding in to the everyday life of normal Guyanese, right? It is not bleeding in. We don't see that trickle down effect of, improvement in the everyday life of the normal Guyanese. We pass all the public servants, we pass everybody, and we gone right to the top tier president. And we want to make an amendment, right, to increase the benefits of presidents. Now, they already, on a monthly basis, what they get? $2.2 million. Hello? Hello? We sit here and we have the elderly in the palms being sucked by bed bugs on a nightly basis. And we are talking about increasing benefits for presidents, former presidents. And I guess something is going to go towards the current one. Well, look, I beg to ask a simple question here. A very, very simple question. Can all of those former presidents name me 2 to 3 things that they would have done to impact the lives of Guyanese people? Name me 2 to 3 things that they would have done to mitigate poverty. And I got to take it a little easy on former President Granger because he was going in the right direction. And worse yet, this one that is currently sitting there with all the oil revenue at his feet, no price control, no measures in place to mitigate inflation, no measures in place to mitigate cost of living. And we are talking about what? Our teachers went out there and picked it and got nothing in return. They are amongst the lowest paid. Maybe they are the lowest paid in the Caribbean and in CARICOM. Are we not ashamed of ourselves to come and table such bills in Parliament after being absent for 112 days? We have been absent for 112 days, and this is what we show up the table? Are you serious? The opposition should fight this tooth and nail. It should not happen. It is despicable. It is an embarrassment, okay? And it just further shows what the PPP thinks of public servants across Guyana. You guys are kidding me. Our pensioners are living on $46,000 a month, and you guys talking about what? I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but these type of bills and these type of discussions angers me. It shows me just how selfish and callous this PPP government is. And I'm not trying to be biased here, but Mr. Azruddin Mohammed, this is an issue that you should have stood in front of and took a frontal position on. As leader, you should have taken a frontal position on this issue. What have these former presidents accomplished? What has Samuel Hines done? What has Donald Ramotar done? And worse yet, Dr. Det Barajagdio. And don't worry with this current one. He's the worst of them all. He's the worst of them all. He doesn't even fit the bill. I ask the question again. Where are we going as a country? Where are we going? There is an issue regarding the Natural Resource Fund that I heard Dr. Campbell spoke of on Friday during the APNU press conference. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk of the Natural Resource Fund, we are not talking about a group of people, a party. We are speaking of the holistic cooperative Republic of Guyana, you know. The Natural Resource Fund and everything it encompasses belongs to the Guyanese people, you know. You guys are aware of this, right? That's your money we're talking about here. There is an issue regarding the composition of the Natural Resource Fund that is with Roxanne George Wilshire, the acting Chief Justice. She was supposed to make a decision on that in November of 2025. The decision was moved or suspended to February 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now midway through June 2026. And Dr. Campbell would have said that everything regarding that issue has gone quiet. I ask the sitting, acting Chief Justice, Roxanne George Wilshire, what is the status? What is the status? How can you expect normal Guyanese to trust the judicial system in Guyana when we see such glaring failures? How can we? When is this going to stop? So now what you guys are doing here, okay? What you guys are doing, what I am seeing here makes everything that I am saying and many others are saying correct. That at the executive level, the judicial level, and the parliamentary level, they are all colluding to fail the people of Guyana. They are all colluding and stealing from the people of Guyana. Let me be more direct. Because everybody want to be friends with everybody, but I don't want to be friends with nobody. I want to be friends with the Guyanese people that I'm here to represent. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got to start taking frontal positions in Guyana with regards to the issues. We have a preponderance of evidence of mismanagement by this sitting government and wrongdoings. I asked the combined opposition. The Win Party had 109,000 that would have voted for you, or 107,000, somewhere in that ballpark. Based on what? The 2025 election results, right? However you guys want to deem those results and look at those results. If you ask me, it's utter garbage, but hey, I'm good. The Guyanese people are getting the standards that they choose to accept. All right? But if it is that you have 107 to 109,000 people, all right? And if it is that the APNU have 77 to 80,000 that would have voted for them, based on what? Based on the election, the last election results. Liberty and Justice Party, Forward Guyana Movement, and all the other little fringed parties that aligned with the opposition. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. How long are you guys going to continue to watch the PPP bury your country? How long are you going to sit down and watch the PPP infringe on your democracy? This is no democracy. There's no engagement. So if there's no engagement, that eliminates democracy, ladies and gentlemen. There's no democracy. You guys have numbers. You guys have numbers. A lot of you want to please people. And let me go there. A lot of you want to please the United States of America and please the ambassador of the United States of America and please all these external forces. Stop it. We are talking about the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. You guys have taken an oath to leadership to serve the people of Guyana. Let me be clear. You have taken an oath to serve the people of Guyana. You have not taken a transactional oath. You have taken an oath to serve the people of Guyana. What the PPP is doing is affecting the people of Guyana. When are you guys going to take to the streets? Not violently. Take to the streets and shut this country down. Guyana is a lost cause. Guyana is a lost cause right now. I don't care how much bank the PPP is trying to open, and I'm going to touch on that quickly. That is not going to alleviate the 58% poverty and the 38% abject poverty. It's not going to alleviate that. Our children are not going to school anymore. They're not going to school for the purpose of learning anymore. Yes, Gavin sees, I'm not saying go there and break up people's stuff. You go there and break up any stores, or you're damaging your own economy. Go out there and stand in solidarity without moving. Without moving. All right? And your protest is a protest of no confidence. You have no confidence in the current government. None. 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 We have to start taking frontal positions, man. The opposition, I tell you guys something. I've watched a lot of prominent leaders in the opposition, and I saw Comrade Norton out last 2 weeks. And he's been talking, he's been on Kidaki Show twice, and also he's written some letters. And I am watching all of you leaders and the way that you guys are attacking each other. You guys are like this, you're attacking each other. Okay? I don't like it. You guys got a whole large Congress place there. Why don't you guys reach and engage each other for the betterment of the Guyanese people? Why don't you guys do that? Why don't all of you guys just get into Congress place and lock the door, buy some food and sit down there and engage each other and plan strategically? Why can't you do that? Why is it that you got to attack and disagree with each other and all of that in the public domain? What do you guys think you're doing to each other? You think there's a feather in the cap? This is not an individual thing. It is not an individual thing. It is a thing where the Guyanese people are waiting to see their leaders cultivate strong relationships. And those strong relationships is going to lead to the necessary measures to combat the evil PPP regime. It shouldn't take me to say this. It should not take me to say this. Azruddin Mohammed, for you are so anxious to take your place as leader of the opposition. Sir, you've got to start showing that you got some spine. Not going out there and highlighting this and highlighting that. It's decent to do that. But you are the leader of the combined opposition. You want some advice? What you should be doing? You should be engaged in the APNU for talks. Boy, it's going to be a feather in your cap. Not because you're a leader, you think everybody's at your feet. Please. It makes you weak. If you think that way, it makes you weak. You know how many people on this program that I've reached out to and we've messaged back and forth and done all type of things? Who am I? I'm not superior to the listeners and viewers here. We all have a responsibility. We all have a job to do. We all need to communicate with each other. This way we are on the same page. Comrade Norton, Comrade Winston Jordan, Dr. Vincent Adams, Dr. Hines, Christopher Ram, and so many others. Lincoln Lewis, Comrade Lincoln Lewis. You guys should be in one room strategically planning how y'all gonna deal with what is happening right now. Right now, Guyana is being sold out right under y'all noses. That's what's happening. There's no real estate market in Guyana for the normal born and bred Guyanese. They don't even have time to think about owning their own house. How cost of living and inflation is killing their income. There's no disposable income to try to save. To say, well, look, I'm going to invest and try and get a house for me and my family. That don't exist anymore. Then many of you are quick to try to compare this guy that sits here now with the late great Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, Dr. Chetty Jagon, And Comrade Hugh Desmond Hoyt, he can't even see their slippers, much less to try to put his feet into it. Look how many schemes were built out on the Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. And we want to talk about what? Ladies and gentlemen, every adult human being, one of their biggest things, biggest yearning is to own their own home. Why is everything so expensive in Guyana while the Guyana dollar don't even have value? We're the fastest growing economy with a valueless dollar. Where do you ever see that? Ladies and gentlemen, let me say this. We have some fundamental issues that are affecting us tremendously in Guyana. And I want to say something. And this is what the Honorable Ganesh Mahipal, who I highly respect, I believe he's a very, very intelligent human being and member of parliament. But I'm going to partly disagree with him when he's saying that they're going to try to combine certain years when it comes to the Public Accounts Committee and their review of government spending. Because if the Auditor General could have done a review of 10 to 15% of government spending in 2024, ladies and gentlemen, 10 to 15%, and you find $1 billion in overpayment to contractors. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, let's think about the scope of our audit here. The scope of our audit is 10 to 15%. It can be directly 10%. It can be 10.5%. It can be 13%. It can be 14%, 14.5%. But ladies and gentlemen, $1 billion, that is not material. That is extremely material. You know what we can do to the palms with $1 billion? You know what we can do towards old age pension, that is $46,000, with $1 billion? Again, ladies and gentlemen, our scope was 10 to 15%. It doesn't mean that when we go from 15% to 30%, we're going to find another $1 billion. It's a chance that, we find 500 million. Right? But there's also a chance that we find 2.5 billion when we go through the next 15%. These things are eye-openers, ladies and gentlemen. This is a jaw-dropping issue of total mismanagement and wastage. And there you have a poverty rate teetering on 60%. My goodness. Ladies and gentlemen. Well, what's the PPP economist name? Joel Balgobin or something of that nature. Joel, when you say that they're creating a bank and they have tabled a motion to create a bank, that is going to be giving out loans, interest-free loans to the people of Guyana. Number one, ladies and gentlemen, a red flag is raised when an institution is just giving out and it not receiving anything back in return. All right? There's no revenue to receive. Even if you're giving out $3 million loans and you say, okay, you pay back these loans with 0.5% interest, 1% interest, a low interest rate or something, you must be receiving something back in return. All right? But when you're going to give out $3 million loans, right, free of charge, all right, and then what the gentleman is saying is that there is no need for opposition oversight. Well, here, you got to be kidding me. Because what trust do you believe the Guyanese people have in the PPPC when it comes to finances? What trust? There must be oversight whenever government is funding any type of financial institution. There must be strong opposition oversight. There's a few things to make sure that the monies are not being mismanaged, to make sure that it is a fair distribution process on an ethnic level. Okay? Because we have that issue in Guyana. Guyana is a very polarizing nation from an ethnic and race perspective. Very. And the father of that polarization and racism is Barra Jagdeo. He thrived, or let me put it, when he was in power, he thrived using that as a tool, and he still thrives using it as the current general secretary of the PPP. Gavin Caesar, you want me 5 days a week? You want me on 5 days a week? There's a stretch. That's a stretch. Not saying that I wouldn't love to be on with the people. It's always a pleasure being here with you guys. We are a family right here. And we are fighting for our country. We are fighting to preserve our people. We are fighting to preserve the fabric of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and all 5 of its ethnic groups. We are not here to promote one race, to say that we are superior to the others. All of us have one place. There's one place and one thing that's promised to all of us, and that is death. Death is promised to all of us, whether we like it or not. We have seen billionaires and millionaires and everybody. What happened? They die. But ladies and gentlemen, you guys are special. You're smart. You understand that while you are here, our responsibility is to look after each other. Our responsibility is not to take an oath to serve and then you steal. Our responsibility is to look after each other. For all those leaders in the APN, you win in all the different parties. When you see a member struggling, when you see a brother or sister struggling, you don't get on social media and rip. That's not the time to rip. That's the time to give a helping hand. You might be helping him directly, but look at the holistic effect of your help. You're helping the people of Guyana. That's what you're doing. Let's not be here for like, ladies and gentlemen. We all have a responsibility. I have seen the WIN supporters and the APNU supporters back and forth at each other. Y'all take that strength and y'all use it on the PPP. I bet you y'all would move them out of power. The way you guys fight each other, if all of you, Forward Guyana Movement, all of you, Liberty and Justice, everybody, take your energies, combine it, y'all would get rid of that evil regime. Whatever group of leaders that we present, we the people of Guyana present to the United States or any government or any external investor, they have to work with our leaders. It's our country. You don't get to come and dictate how somebody else's country works. You don't get to do that, man. Not because you're rich and wealthy and you're the largest economy, that means you get to dictate how another country works, especially when you've been there and all we're seeing is that we have a 60% poverty rate with you being there. That's to show that you haven't attempted to solve any issues. And people can say to me, Wayne Caesar, the ambassadors are there to look out for themselves. So therefore, you should not be coming out and saying that the Guyanese people are going to be in a good position under the PPP. You can't say that. You're overstepping your boundaries. It's either you're in or you're out, one of the two. You can't be on the borderline. You got to be either in or out. We got to speak the facts. We have got to speak to the correct intelligence. We have got to speak to what we are seeing. We have to. How are we going to move this nation forward if we are not taking frontal positions on issues? How are we? The standard, ladies and gentlemen, we choose to walk past. Again, the standard that we choose to walk past, to see and walk past, is the standard that we choose to accept. And that's unacceptable. When we see poor standards, we need to stop. We need to bell the cat and we need to address it forthwith. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, all on sundry in the opposition. Comrade Norton, head is not for sale. Don't attack Comrade Norton. What's occurring now with the APNU and the PNCR and stuff didn't start 5 years ago. It started before that. We had 23 years of complete failure to bell the cat and deal with the PPP the way they should have been dealt with. We allow that monster to materialize. No, we must take strong measures, ladies and gentlemen, to stop the runaway train. Getting out there and doing press conferences. I thank you so much for highlighting the issues. That is needed. But that's not going to get you anywhere. To the leader of the opposition, what is happening with the voters list and biometrics? A few things. You guys can take about 5,000 to 10,000 people and go and deal with the GCOM. Attacking about the combined opposition. and then take another 10,000 people and go to the courts and deal with Roxanne George Wilshire. Tell her you guys want a decision when it comes to the Natural Resource Fund forthwith. These people are being paid with taxpayers' money. Are we really understanding this? You are paying people to do nothing. You are paying people for incompetence. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. That too is wastage. Why are we paying Claudette Singh? Why are we paying Claudette Singh? Ladies and gentlemen, we are going this evening at 8:15. All right? We have Knicks basketball at 8:30. And I know many people want to look at their basketball. That's one thing. I don't want to infringe on things that you guys have to do. Okay? But again, this is your program, and for the most part, you guys get what you want. We're going to continue now, ladies and gentlemen. GCOM commissioners. GCOM commissioners. Azudin Mohammed, I'm going to say this to you, and I'm not going to be bad. It has to become a customary practice of yours to read the Constitution of Guyana and read into the laws when the evening comes. You got to understand the portfolio that you hold now, you know. It calls for a lot of self-study. Okay? It calls for a lot of self-examination. Okay? It also calls for execution, where you are diligent, effective, and efficient with how you use the resources around you. The GCOM commissioners, they were constitutionally elected and placed there. There is no term limits. Can I be pellucidly clear to you and your team? And Comrade Tabitha Sarbu Ali, Comrade Natasha Singh Lewis, and Comrade Don Hastings Williams, you guys should know this. As far as sitting parliamentarians and as parliamentarians who would have been in parliament before, to edify your leader accordingly. And that's providing that he would have seek intelligence and knowledge and lay on you guys for wisdom. Now, the position that you should have taken, I believe, Azudin Mohammed, in my honest opinion, since you know that they are constitutionally elected to their offices, you needed to call a meeting with them before directly attacking them and asking them to resign. Because when somebody is elected into a constitutional office for life, ladies and gentlemen, and you're asking them to resign, you know what you're doing, right? You are setting a new precedent. You are starting a new regime. Okay? You are starting a whole new regime. When you choose to say, we're going to offer you $5 million to step away, it's a new regime. And that can be deemed corruption also. That can be deemed corruption. So my thing to Azudin Mohammed and the Win Party, whatever it is that you guys do, try to make sure that you do your analysis and you stay within the scope of the laws. Stay within the scope of the laws. Call all the commissioners to the table Lay out your vision on the line. They have to work for you. They are opposition commissioners. To put some extra measure into it. You as leader of the opposition, ladies and gentlemen, you see, that's the thing, man. And I've complained over and over about leaders in Guyana. You guys yearn for positions. And then when you get into the position, you freeze. Nah, man. When you get in there, that is your time. There is a shelf life on your time there. So therefore, as soon as you hit the road, you start executing. Soon as you hit the road, soon as you get in there, execution start. That's your time. And you want to make sure that you're excelling at what you're doing, because that is where you raise the hand to take the oath. Right? Yes, Brother Asim. Brother Asim Shakur, you know when you raise the hand to take the oath what it means. You got to have an appetite of servitude to the people. How you know that these commissioners want to take buyout? How you know that these commissioners are not passionate about what they do and their main goal is to see that change in Guyana? How you know that they just want to sit there and receive that salary? How you know that? We don't know this. You need to engage them with your agenda. And once you and them would have agreed to something, make it public. That's what you call transparency. Make it public so the people are aware. So anyone that fails to execute is at the hands of the people. That's what you want. Don't fight for constitutional reform to remove those commissioners. Because let me say something to the Win Party. You are not guaranteed to get 16 seats come the next election, whether it's 2030 or before. You're not guaranteed that. So you don't want to fight for that constitutional reform to move commissioners and all that stuff. You know what make it look like? Without even testing the guys on what they would do for you and your party. You know what it looks like? Like you're operating on a PPP agenda. That's what it looks like. And you don't want that. You don't want that. So we need to get serious. We need to start seeing the combined opposition start moving towards something. Getting together. That's needed. We are at a crossroads, man. Every minute, every day, every second wasted, another piece of Guyana gone. Another piece of Guyana gone. The other thing, Exxon is waiting on government approval to increase extraction, oil extraction. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to listen to me carefully. The opposition needs to fight to make sure that there is no increase in extraction. You want to ask me, Wayne Caesar, why? Because we are getting a tremendous amount of revenue now from oil, and it is not meeting the Guyanese people. That's what this is about. It is not, you see, if it was meeting the Guyanese people, if we could have done audits and we are not finding $1 billion in wastage after just doing a scope of 10 to 15%, then I would say, hell's yeah. If we were efficient, we are not efficient. We are not getting the job done. Yet nobody have not sat down and thought about, hey, we want to increase extraction, but nobody haven't sat down to think about the hundreds of miles offshore. What's going on there? if it's not affecting the landmass of Guyana. Hence the reason we are flooding. Hence the reason we are experiencing tremendous climate change. Yes, the climate is changing in Guyana. It is changing. All right? We are seeing tremendous rainfalls, and we're going to continue to see those. The extraction of oil must have some type of an eco effect. Must. All y'all want to do is take and take. Look, they had up pictures depicting the $1 million, the billion, the millions of dollars spent in homes for Minister Kwame McCoy. Susan Rodriguez, look what she got, apartment buildings, this, that, the other. Look at Zulfikar, a very unlearned agriculture minister, rich through the roof. Look at our pensioners, the people who've actually done the work, the people who've actually handed a decent Guyana to PPP. Look at them, $46,000 a month. $46,000 a month, Irfan Ali. Ladies and gentlemen, 5 minutes after 8, we're going to be here until 8:15. I want to touch on this quickly. Lance Corporal Christophe de Nobrega. Lance Corporal Christophe de Nobrega is appealing to Irfan Ali to work some magic to get him back his job. You guys remember Lance Corporal Christophe de Nobrega? Let me see all who knows Lance Corporal Christophe de Nobrega and the reason I'm talking about him this evening. Let me see. I'll wait for your comments. Let's see how many people could remember, because I want us to remember these things. I want us to remember these things. All right. I don't see any comments. Okay. Maybe nobody remember who Lance Corporal Christophe de Nobrega is. So, Lance Corporal Christophe de Nobrega is the gentleman that was accused of murdering Quindon Bacchus. Look, Gavin Caesar put up. Gavin Caesar don't pull punches, you know, he's a killer. Look, the Guyana police force pointed everything at Christophe de Nobrega. And I think 2 other officers. I think all officers implicated was African Guyanese. But there were a few East Indian officers there also. But this is Guyana. This is the ethnic polarizing cooperative Republic of Guyana. So we know what played out there already. We know what played out there already. All right? Okay. Christophe de Nobrega, the fact that you didn't challenge the ruling of the Guyana police force. You did not challenge the firing of the Guyana police force firing you. Okay? And what would have happened to Quindon Bacchus? That alone in itself paints the picture that you should never carry a weapon again in Guyana calling yourself police officer. Are you kidding me? You want back what job? Quindon Bacchus is laying 6 feet down. And who you want to get back your job? Who you want to get back your job for you? Mohammed Irfan Ali? Mohammed Irfan Ali never showed up to Golden Grove Nabaklis to that family. Mohammed Irfan Ali never showed up at Golden Grove Nabaklis to Quindon's mother and the Bacchus family at large. So what he could do, Guyanese, y'all need to send a message if that guy is ever rehired by the Guyana police force. Yeah, that there is grounds to shut down, man. How are we doing this? How are we doing this? I don't care what court exonerate you. The courts in Guyana is in collusion with the Guyana police force, the government, and everybody. The courts in Guyana is garbage. Let me just put a short sentence there. Garbage. Who are we talking about? Where in Guyana is justice served? Where in Guyana is justice served? Let me tell you something, man. The PPP and this government is proper stupid, man. No, you guys caught Howard Eastman, world-renowned boxing contender Howard Eastman. Okay? World-renowned. Howard Eastman would have shared the ring with Bernard Hopkins amongst other top middleweight contenders in this world. You guys find Howard Eastman with marijuana, a certain amount of marijuana. But ladies and gentlemen, yeah, remember when they find that family member of that PPP operative with all the marijuana, the girl was just let go. All right? You found Howard Eastman with marijuana. And I know a lot of people came out and said, okay, that judge was doing our job and this and that and the other. But ladies and gentlemen, we've got to think. You think sending Howard Eastman to jail is rehabilitating Howard Eastman? What you guys could have done, okay, is give Howard Eastman probation, and part of that probation would be consistent testing of his body for marijuana. Okay? And the other part of his probation would have been to work with young boxers in Guyana. Howard Eastman has the intellect, he has the experience, ladies and gentlemen. Here is where you can take a gentleman that found himself in some trouble and turn him into an asset. But I'm telling you this, when we are unlearned and when we are not smart, we are not smart. Howard Eastman can be what a mentor to our young boxers in Guyana. I know many of you are going to say, oh, he's going to teach them to smoke weed. No. No, man. Howard Eastman was a technician in the ring. All right? And I beg to ask this question, ladies and gentlemen. I want to know if that gentleman was ever, because they say he has nowhere to live and all this kind of stuff. I want to know if Howard Eastman was offered any land when he came back to Guyana. I doubt it. The PPP is a despicable government, ladies and gentlemen. I am sorry. The PPP is, oh my goodness. Look how Terrence Ali is forced to live. Another former world contender. We ought to be ashamed of ourselves. The PPP has really disappointed Guyanese. But ladies and gentlemen, it's now 8:11. I heard Howard Eastman have a long rap sheet selling and using drugs. Well, they got to figure out a way to help him. That's what governments are supposed to do. You think sending people to jail for marijuana solves that issue? You're putting them in jail with murderers and people who've committed far more excessive crimes. And to Howard Eastman, if he's watching, I'm a big Howard Eastman fan when he was fighting. Come on, brother, you need to get your life together, man. You need to get your life together. This is not the way it should be for you. Okay? And to magistrate Michelle Matthias, let's take a second look at the Howard Eastman issue and see how we can deal with it. All right? This is sad, though. This is sad. And it paints a picture of Guyana who don't want to pick up weed. The PPP is responsible for passing so much drugs and all of that stuff through Guyana. We had a cocaine-based economy before Cormac Granger took office. It's like Pat telling Canary bottom black. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 minutes before showtime, I just want to thank all of you for joining. All right? I want to thank our CEO and owner here, Mark Anthony Benchcap, for giving us the latitude of having this program. We will be back here tomorrow for another edition of Over to You, a program for the people, by the people. I love you guys. In the interim, you guys enjoy your soccer. Enjoy the Knicks game tonight. We hope that it is Knicks in 5 and we don't have to go to a 6th game. But let's see what happens tonight, guys. All right? You guys enjoy your weekend. And don't forget, I'll be seeing you right back here tomorrow, 7 p.m. sharp for another edition of Over to You, a program for the people, by the people. It is your program. Love you, love you, love you. Over to you. Good night.
I want a woman. DJ Shrimpy presents his annual Summer Jam on Saturday, July 25th at the Woodbine in Brooklyn. Music by Super Terry, Busta, Lady Supreme, DJ Quinn, and DJ Shrimpy. Tickets $30. Dinner included. For tickets, inbox DJ Shrimpy on Messenger or call or text 631-805-7923.
I want a woman to jam.
I want a woman. DJ Shrimpy presents his annual Summer Jam on Saturday, July 25th at the Woodbine in Brooklyn. Music by Super Terry, Busta, Lady Supreme, DJ Quinn, and DJ Shrimpy. Tickets $30. Dinner included. For tickets, inbox DJ Shrimpy on Messenger or call or text 631-805-7923.
I want a woman to jam.